So I'm going to invite Security Officer Billie Wilson up. She's going to talk to you about what's going on in the building. The purpose of this series is to let you all know what we're seeing, what we're dealing with on a daily basis with student behaviors so that we can partner to counter some of the negative directions that our children may be going. And Officer Wilson's going to talk about the drug aspect of that behavior. And then later on tonight, you'll be able to talk to Officer Dunn and Mr. Clement also about some of the specifics. So without any further ado, this is Officer Billie Wilson, School Security.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Officer Wilson. I've been here with Greenbelt for about 5 years. I think over the 5 years I've seen a little progression in what we handle. I do have a background in law enforcement, about 25 years. So I've been dealing with this stuff since I was young, mostly with young people too. A lot of things are the same, but they're starting to target our kids. So this is basically what I just want to bring some awareness to how they're actually trying to solicit younger and younger kids to participate in drug activity. All right, so right now, this is the most popular amongst middle school kids, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, from 11 to about 14, 15 years old. What I try to do is break it down percentage-wise. Alcohol, because it's readily available, a lot of times we have it in our homes, and they kind of, get into it, use it, and try it, and test it. Sometimes they bring it to school in containers and, partake in it with their friends. Vaping is on the rise. It's 19% of what kids do now, and we deal with it a lot in middle school. They go and try to sneak in the bathrooms and share vaping. Vaping can consist of just basic tobacco, flavored tobacco, or they can add things like marijuana, liquid marijuana, and other types of amphetamines in a liquid form to it, which causes a lot of health issues, and it's really scary for kids. So here marijuana comes in, you can smoke it, it comes in a liquid form and an edibles form, which is another thing that they're trying to target the kids with it. And I have some examples of what it looks like in my next slide. Over-the-counter drugs, things like Dimetap, NyQuil, back in the day we used to call it CIRT, stuff like that. They got a whole other name for it now. But what they do is basically mix NyQuil and Sprite or orange soda or Dimetap and grape soda. It gives them like a small high or buzz. Prescription drugs, they sell them, you have them in the home, they steal them, so they bring those to school and they share. Inhalant's not as big anymore, things like, sniffing markers or paint, sniffing paint, they do that still. And then amphetamines, some stuff they deal with, like ecstasy, only because it's marketed directly to kids. And it's a colorful thing, and kids get intrigued with how it looks.
Where's the data from?
The National Institute of Health.
Some kids I have to give them daily weekly report sheets that they go around with each mug every day, and they get the teacher to sign their behavior. Did they come to class on time? Did they do the work? Did they participate? Different things like that. I have to keep a log on my 30. I have to collect data, put in information, because we're trying to minimize elbow. Like I say, situation, not the whole situation, but the whole I'm just trying to sum it up. The whole thing is what we're trying to do is just to change their behavior. Okay? I work in a program that's with PG County. Okay? I work for the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, or CIRT. And that's just a program through Prince George's County that I work with. Okay? I teach rethink lessons. They're 20 to 30 minutes. I have groups that we all get together and we have discussions and we have different topics based on what behavior is. Some of you parents that are with your students on my caseload, I do send the literature home where so you can see, follow up based on what our group discussions and things were about. So I send the literature home. So please, like Principal Mr. Clinton said, please check your children's Chromebook. Ask them, do they have homework? Ask them, do they have assignments that they have to do? Okay, because we do send them home with some things. I don't know if all schools have cut out homework, but it's homework and things still being sent home. So check your student stuff and see what's going on. Okay. We're trying to cut down on suspension. We're trying to cut down on out-of-school suspensions mainly, but we're trying to cut down on in-school suspensions. I have to do daily attendance. I have, like I said, I have behavior sheets. I have to keep in contact with my parents on a daily basis. Sometimes I have to monitor the hallway. They all over the place. A lot of times they don't have no reasons or explanations for what they do. And that's a struggle for me. You ask them something and they be like, I don't know if y'all get that, but I get a lot of that. They like, so we trying to change that. We need an answer for the reasons why you're doing things. So give us some type of leeway as to why you're doing things, okay? Because they don't know. That's what they say. Okay, so for your parents, this is some things I need you to help me out with, okay? I need you to be good listeners to your children, okay? Because they have things to say. If they come bombarding me all day, they have some things to say to you also. So ask them, how was school today? How you feel? Is everything okay? Because they have things to say. You just have to ask questions, okay? Model the behavior that you want them to be, that you want them to do. If you want them to act right, you act. Okay? You want them to have good voice tones and be respectful? You be respectful. Okay? Right. Nurture your child's self-esteem. Okay? I don't know how to self-esteem. Low self-esteem. Somebody tell them something they're going to do. Buy them a bunch of followers instead of leaders. You got to change that. All right? Respect their differences because they see things one way, we see things another way. And we got to listen to them and understand what they're saying and what they're trying to put out there for us. Might not be the way we want it to be, but hey, sometimes it makes sense. You know? And lastly, take advantage of the support services that we have. Y'all can call us and check on some things. So we send stuff home. And y'all can come and check on us too. We don't always have to be the ones that's in front. Come check on your child. See what's going on. You can shadow it. Come on. Okay? See a day how it is in middle school. All right? Okay? Thank you, guys.
Mr. McEwen.
Good evening, parents. My name is Jamal McEwen, but everybody calls me Mr. Mack in the building. I'm your student advocate here. That really means I'm here just for the students. I advocate for them. If it's a problem with a student, if it's a problem with a teacher, even a problem with admin, I'm here to help them. So I get problems from anything of someone's bullying me, I have to do a mediation with that. Me and Mr. Brooks do mediations all day long. So we have to have a mediation with a parent or anything. I know I've called some parents sometimes, but what we really need here is parent participation. So, you guys, a lot of parents, I'm not saying you guys, but we get a lot of parents saying, hey, why you guys didn't do this? Why you didn't do this? So I always take it as, if you give us a ball of clay, we can mold it into something nice, but if that clay is too loose, has too much water in it, it's gonna fall. We can't do anything with it. We can't mold it if you don't give us something good to work with. We try every day. We get stories all day, every day of what students go through. Like he said, just talk to your students. They'll tell you, because they come into our office all day long. Let me tell you what's going on today. Let me tell you what happened at home yesterday. On the way, I had this happen. So what I always tell parents is, think about when you were in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. All the stuff that you did. So when you did stuff, maybe only your best friend and one other person saw it. And y'all laugh about it years later. Now, if you do it here, you got a camera phone, it's gonna be on the internet, it's gonna last forever. Their worst days last forever. So some of them gotta live with that, and they're like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna make it because we get stuff online, and they're like, I don't wanna go to school because people pick them on me because I have failed in the building. Little stuff, just by falling in the building, somebody took a video of it. They don't want to come to school. It's little things. So we have to just make sure that we have conversations all the time with our teachers. With our students. So we all are here to help them. This school has so many services for you, from just student advocates to all the way if you're not eating anything. Mental service, everything in this building. I get parents saying, oh, we didn't have help with this. You didn't contact us. It's here for you. They have it here for you. You just have to reach out and ask for it. That's all you have to do. So I'm gonna make it short because I know you guys have a lot of questions and we want to try to get you out of here. So I'll give it back to Mr. Pugh. Here you are, sir.
As parents, check your kids' belongings. Check your kids' activity on their phones, check their cash apps, check any apps that you're not familiar with, open them. Because that's where the secrets are lying in apps you're not familiar with. Because I know as a parent myself, we don't check our kids' stuff too often until something happens. So we gotta be proactive rather than reactive, because this has no target. Everybody's a target when it comes to this type of recreational activity. All right, moving forward. Yeah. Because kids have access to a lot of technology. And I always hear parents tell me, I took my child's cell phone from them. That means nothing, moms and dad. Nothing. Because if their friend had an old cell phone, they have a cell phone now. So you might have took their cell phone, they may not have a cell phone. They come in the school building, they got 1,500 cell phones. So don't underestimate, don't say because I took my child's cell phone. That used to be a good trick, a good punishment, but now that's nothing. Because when they come in this building, their friend has an old cell phone, all they need is Wi-Fi. And they go to any McDonald's, the mall, anywhere for free Wi-Fi. So we really have to be very, very diligent with our kids. Like I said, I have a high school. I have 2 college graduates. There's nothing, but what she does is nothing but what they did when they was in school. Trust me, way different. So I'm gonna stick strictly to the code right now, because me, I'm policy and procedure. Understand, I go by what the county says, and I go by what the law says. So updates right now, our biggest problem in schools are threats. Kids think they can say what they want to say. I'm just joking. That means nothing these days. If you make a threat of any harm to the school environment, it's considered a threat of mass violence. And we have several kids who made the mistakes throughout the county this year and last year, and they had to learn a lesson the hard way. So when I say threats, parents, it doesn't matter. I can say so-and-so's an A and B student, good kid. That means nothing no more. Nothing. If you see most of these people that committed crimes of mass violence are not bad kids. No background, no track record. Like, out of nowhere, snap, mass violence. So if a student types on their group chat, these group chats get a lot of kids in trouble. They can say I was just joking with my friend, but, oh, I'm gonna bring a gun to school tomorrow. And then he says, psych. And somebody snapshots that I'm gonna bring a gun to school tomorrow. Reports it to me or the administration. that's a threat of mass violence to the building. PG County will be notified. Homeland Security will be notified. Any threat to a school campus is going to be taken seriously. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know in this building, very seriously. Like I said, I do not care who your kid is. It's not personal. That's your job to understand your kid's character. In this building, they're a student. And any student can commit a crime. So I cannot have that conversation with a parent saying, well, you know my child. Or my child is, my child that. I'm gonna listen. Meanwhile, PG County can be notified. Homeland Security can be notified. And at that point, testing, all right. At that point, what we call a threat assessment. Guidance is involved, myself is involved, law enforcement might be involved. That will determine when we move forward as far as the school aspect of it. Only the school aspect. That threat assessment has nothing to do with criminal charges. So I want you to understand that. So when you look at the county policy, you'll see it says threat assessment. That's a school policy. There's a difference between school policy and county police policy. So if the school says, based on that threat assessment, that child does not pose a threat, the child might be allowed to come back to school. So understand that, parents. Because if you see a child or heard that a child made a threat and then a week later, that child's back in school, then we get the phone calls. How's the child back in school? And he typed in threat assessment, code of conduct. Code of conduct says a threat to school environment could be anywhere from 1 to 10 days. So the principal, PPW, that's what we go by. Now, if the threat is viable, that's different. Now, if we actually have proof, like, he had a weapon in school, something like that, it'd be handled different. But if it's just a verbal threat of a threat via text messages or email, we have to follow protocols. So understand, it is a process. I'm not going to show the whole code of conduct, but it's on my security website. Please look at that, parents. Please look at the code of conduct and student rights responsibility, because y'all can understand how we address things and what the law, well, what the school law says, not criminal law. It's two different things. And sometimes parents think, well, this child did that, he shouldn't be here no more. That's not going to happen. It's not. Because unfortunately, the law states that the kid has a right to education. So they're going to be back in not this school, so another school. So I'm going to move next to legal substance, my partner recovery. Now, under code of conduct, if your child is in possession of a vape or cigarettes, a vape is considered tobacco at this point. We're working on trying to switch that up, but at this point, it's considered a tobacco product. So on that offense, the child can be suspended for 1 to 3 days. The child will have to attend some type of tobacco class, therapy. And the first offense, that's the second offense is the same thing. Third strike, we can increase it. But understand, at this point, unfortunately, vapes are considered tobacco products. Now, if we so happen to see like some vapes are liquefied, and we can prove that that liquid in it is not tobacco, then it turns over to a controlled substance. At that point, the same thing. We have the process where the child can be suspended, therapy, and law enforcement gets involved based on the controlled substance part. So we handle it that way. But those are the 2 levels of it. The vapes, unfortunately, like I said, they're considered tobacco products. If it's a liquefied vape, and I can prove that it's a liquid containing to that vape, we can test it. If it comes back as anything else besides tobacco, then it'll be handled accordingly, anything else besides tobacco. We do have a PG County officer assigned to the school. We work together real close. So if anything that needs to be tested, he can test it immediately. And then we're handled, like I said, based on the substances in that vape, we're handled accordingly. Disruptive behaviors. That's a big issue here this year too. I'm gonna see the group fights of Twitter and Instagram, so on and so on. Fights, physical attacks, we have classified in different directions. If a student pushes another student, of course we said that it's not a fight. That's active aggression, physical attack, maybe if a student's hurt. But what we have now is a lot of, I'm gonna say verbal altercations that's leading to fights. So we have to address it as that. A verbal altercation is a verbal altercation. After I talked, my other colleagues will talk to you about that process, but it's a level of verbal altercation. If it leads to a physical altercation, we classify that as a fight. Now, in the process of this, if somebody get hurt, the school can handle it as a level 3, which could be a long-term suspension, anywhere from 3 to 10 days, if physical injury occurred. Now, as a parent, you have the right to file charges if your child is injured in an altercation or a physical attack. That's your right as a parent. The school cannot file charges for you, but you can file those charges with county officers or Greenbelt. That's your right. If something happens in the community, all we are here to do is assist. I know sometimes some law enforcement agencies tell you to come to the school. If you probably heard that, come to the school, report to the school. You can report it, but I have no power in the city of Greenbelt outside of this building. So all I can do is assist with the conflict that's happened in the community. I will give you the paperwork you can fill out a citizen complaint if your child is harmed in the neighborhood. I will do that, but I can't file it for you. We're not law enforcement in the city of Greenbelt. We only have powers on school property. So if your child's involved in an altercation or an issue or something in the community, my best advice to you is contact PG County or Greenbelt Police. The school, all we can do is mediate. And you'll hear more about that later on tonight. That's all we can do is mediate. We will assist as much as we can, but you have to notify Greenbelt. Please, I'm telling you, because what happened now, something happens and the parents are like, all right, I'm not going to say nothing, I'm not going to report it. Then it happens again and again. Now we have no documentation to support you if we got to do a safety transfer out of the building or for another student. So please start documenting. Call. I know people don't want to use law enforcement all the time, but you have to document your incidents. Please. The school cannot do it for you. I'll give you paperwork to do it, but you have to do it. Social media, like I said, we all wear social media. Community incidents. We have a lot of incidents so far as armed robbery, strong arm theft, possession of firearms, possession of knives. That all involves the school community. So no one's blind to it. We know what's going on in our neighborhood. We know what's going on in society. That's it. No one's blind to it. But I don't want to scare too many parents right now, but just unfortunately the laws are kind of crazy when it comes to kids under a certain age.
Let's change the battery.
Let's change what? Take a quick pause. Take a quick pause. I'm going to change the battery. All right, I can keep talking. People online, hope you hear me. But every day you hear about a kid getting shot. A kid involved in the shooting in DC, PG, Howard County, Montgomery County. It's there. We know it's there. And then we heard stories about the Greenbelt community of gun activity. It's there. You know it's there. We have ghost guns, folks. These ghost guns look like toy guns. And you would not know. I'll put an example because I want you to see. It's my little goodie box. So this is an example of a toy gun. This is a toy gun. It doesn't fire, it doesn't have a clip. Toy gun. So we consider this a toy gun. So your child might get a warning, might get suspended, because it's considered a lookalike, but it's a toy gun. It has no operable resources to it, it's just a toy gun. So now you got this now. It's operating. This is what we consider a lookalike. Because this resembles an actual gun. This operates like an actual gun. This could be a request for exposure. See, a lot of kids think, oh, it's just a toy gun, officer. Why are you for a toy gun? Because this is why. It looks like a real gun, it operates like a real gun. So this is considered a lookalike. That could be a request for exposure. If it has any mechanisms on that object that look like some real gun like this, it's a lookalike. Your child can be going home. Will be going home. Ain't could go home. Will be going home. For a long time. Request for exposure might be, most likely, this will be a request for exposure. Some of these guns have clips. You'll see it, right? This is what you call a clip. That's where we go sideways with it. So it might be a toy, you might buy it on, at whatever store you buy it from, but now this resembles a weapon. And unfortunately now we have guns in our school that actually have bullets that look just like this. Just like this. And kids are bringing it to school, but some kids have been harmed by it. So we think it's very serious. Very serious. And your kid might be the next kid to buy one from their buddy. Because these are being made at home. Home. Somebody's making these things in their house. And then they're selling them on the streets to whoever want to buy it. And we have some of these that have clips in it that hold like 30 bullets. Can you imagine that? Something this small with an extended clip with 30 bullets. But this is what we have going on in schools right now. And unfortunately, as y'all see, we don't have metal detectors. Right. And if we did, some of these are plastic. So they'll get past them anyway. So like they make plastic, they make plastic bullets. So we don't have detectors. That's where us as parents, as a parent, we have to write our counsel, plus the boards, because our schools right now are kind of vulnerable for nonsense because of certain laws that's in effect. If people heard about that shooting in Anne Arundel County last week, the child was not charged for possession. Because under state law, a child under 14 can't be charged for possession of a handgun. Just like that married. Under state law, I'm just being honest with you as a parent. A child under 14 cannot be charged with possession of a handgun. And that law was digged out from who? It was made in 21, but clearly it wasn't public knowledge. It took a lawyer to defend a case, and now it's public knowledge. So this is what we'll be dealing with now. So I'm not trying to, but I'm just telling you the truth. This is what we're dealing with. We have to check our kids' belongings. We have to talk to our kids. We have to be involved. We have to write to your Congress, the city council, people we vote into office, and this is what we're dealing with. Because what I just showed you is just a snap of what we have going on in schools right now. That's just a snap. And the school policies do not align with the infractions. I'm just being honest with you. You can have a student bring something, and the kid tell home and tell you, so-and-so did this. Mr. Clement, as a principal, he got to go by the code of conduct. And I made it accessible for everybody to read it, because I need parents to really read it, so you see how the school can legally respond to certain infractions. But the biggest thing is parents' participation on this. Bullying, harassment, big topic in middle school. Big topic in middle school. I have a lot of complaints about bullying and harassment, a lot of reports on bullying and harassment. It will be addressed as it comes in. I want you to know that the levels of it is different than what people perceive to be. I'm not saying that every kind of kid get a name call is a bullying incident, the kid will be suspended, the kid will be disciplinary action. That's not the process. But we do urge kids to report any type of what they feel is what they feel. That's it. I never question, nobody on my team will ever question how your child feels about anything. But if you don't tell us, we can't address it. And when I say address it, like I said, my colleagues will talk a little bit more about that, but we have a process on how we address
Say that again?
social and bullying issues in the building. Guidance get involved, my colleagues get involved, and we get involved. But the kids have to report it. That's it, they have to. If the kids see another child on the bus with something like a weapon, come tell me. A lot of times they do, they won't tell me, but they'll come tell you later on at night. Meanwhile, that student walked around the building all day with something in his bag, and we had no knowledge of it because your student, your child, didn't say something to one of us, and we only told y'all. I said, oh yeah, that's good. Always tell your parents. Please tell your parents, but tell us first, because we're here. But we have kids that would text their parents and don't tell us. So-and-so just hit me in the bathroom. Instead of I get a phone call or come to the phone call from a parent email, my kids got attacked in the bathroom. Why didn't you do nothing about it? Because we didn't know about it. We had no knowledge. So please tell your parents, tell your kids they have to speak up. I know they might want to be a snitch, I know like that, but if they don't tell us, we can't do nothing about it. And we have a lot of parents that come up and call up and send emails because they're irate, because nothing was done, and my child is, but we didn't know. We have 6 bathrooms in the building. All the bathrooms had doors. Due to circumstances in the past, no adult is very allowed in the bathroom besides myself, Officer Wilson, and administration. But we're going to have to have probable cause to in the bathroom. So I can't just say I'm walking in the bathroom just going there. I can't do it. Because if a child says Officer Dunn did something, I'm going to leave. I'm just being honest with you. Any adult in this building goes into a restroom and a child makes an accusation, we're guilty to prove innocent because of past situations. So when y'all hear about things that goes on in the bathrooms, I'm just going to be honest with you. This is about honesty tonight. That's why. Now, if I see a group of kids going to the bathroom, I say, oh, somebody got to go in there. But when I report up, I said, due to the fact that I seen this and smelled that, I enter the restroom. At that point, I call for assistance, somebody to back me up as a witness. We're going together. But I can't just every minute walk into a restaurant. I wish I could, but I can't. But your students, they can. And a lot of students are seeing things going on and they're not reporting. We're seeing the after effects of it. And sometimes these kids are desensitized. They're like, they're immune to violence now. And that's just the truth. They don't pay it in your mind, they think it's fun. Like, students will pull out a cell phone and be ready for a fight before the fight even happens, because they want to see the fight. Like, we pay to watch pay-per-view fights, they get it for free. They love it. It's sad, but they are immune to the nonsense right now. And that's just the honest truth, parents. We have a situation right now with our youth that I have not seen before. I have not. The violence and the aggravation and the tempers and depression, anxiety, so on is to the roof. And we have 1,500 kids in this building, and 95% of the kids have some type of issue. I'm saying 100%, tell you the truth. And I didn't even include the staff members. Like, that's a whole nother topic. So I asked Mr. Cree to do this because the first half of this year, Ms. Clemens, when we go back and forth, it's been crazy. And I don't want to see the second half be seen as the first time. So I also want to get more parents come out because they can really hear what's going on, because next week it's going to be the students. So this time we did a little different. I said, talk to the parents first, then we'll go hard on the students next week. Because clearly they didn't get the point when we made a little pop-up about the code of conduct, because they didn't get it. Because they're doing stuff that just don't make sense. Like, must not have read that, you must not pay attention. I heard students in the, and I was supposed to hear the other day, when he was asked, do you remember what was told you in the code of conduct? He said, honestly, I wasn't paying attention. I was like, well, at least he's honest. Because they made it virtual. Before we would sit like this and talk to all the kids, and we'd answer questions, we do, you know, they got to really see what's going on now, and they were virtual. So most times, you put something on the screen during the class, they're on the cell phone, so they don't understand what the infractions are and what they're gonna have to the consequences. But next week, parents, we will be having code of conduct review with all your grade levels, and it's gonna be a lot of changes on my end as far as security and safety to make it a little better in this building. I said, I'm not gonna talk too much, no more, and talk enough. You still got your name. That's it. So, my PowerPoint, security has a Google site. I know people don't know about that, but it's on my email, it's on the school website. I try to keep that updated as much as possible, but I will include the code of conduct on it. Each child signs an agreement at the beginning of the school year. That agreement is what's going to be held against them. It's something that they have a level for the file offense. So tell your kids to read their rights and responsibility, please. That they understand me. It's called rights and responsibilities now. Before it used to be called the code of conduct. So now the students have rights and responsibilities. So they need to understand both. So you can't use, I didn't see, I didn't read, I didn't know, because if you sign it, that's it. They know. Even if you didn't read it, you signed it. And most kids in the school signed it, because that's part of like assignment to send home, Google Class, it was on there. Parents need to read it too. Because, like I said, the first half of PG County, like I said, everybody watches the news, you know what's going on. Greenbelt crime has increased in the last 10 years from what I haven't seen. I've been in this area most of my time in PG County. I've been in Greenbelt, Highsville. So I'm familiar with the area. You know, it's called Sprinkler Lake. I remember going there all the time. But the activity happening now with the guns, gangs coming back in, drugs. And y'all kids are part of it. So I said, I'll take the Q&A for later on, but I just want to update y'all that we're aware, and I want y'all to be aware. And hopefully we can, somewhat control it a little bit. So it'll be nice talking to y'all. I'll save the questions for later. I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues, Mr. Mack and Mr. Brooks, and they'll talk about the social emotional part of it.
What we wanted to do was, first of all, let you know what was going on now in the school building, right now. Like Mr. Dunn said, he came to me in December when we were just dealing with some behaviors that were just at a higher rate and a higher pace and just more intense than normal. And we want to get this ship turned around. And we want to do that with you all's help. We are going to open up the Q&A portion of the evening. Mr. Dunn and our wonderful principal, everybody, Mr. Clement.
But one thing I want to say this before I ask any questions. How many parents online and here get my email communications when I send school messenger blast to the whole community? Okay, just for a show of hands. And text alerts too, and text alerts. Okay, put your hand there. How many do not? How many do not? If you are a family member that does not, that is one thing that has happened. The email or phone number that you had in SchoolMax is not linked to the messaging service that I'm allowed to use with the county. As everybody said, we have 1,500 students, and when I finish sending out my emails, it goes to 3,409 people. All right, 3,409 people. If it's not there, I need you to write this down. For those that's online, please write it on your computer, phone, and things of that nature. Carlos.Pugh, that's him. CarlosPugh phillip.pugh@pgcps.org. Send him an email so that way he can update you on SchoolMax so you can make sure you get my messages. Because when I talk to you, not only do my message go to you, it also goes to your students. Your students see every single message that I send. They don't get the text message, they get the message. Case in point, students that's in here, raise your hand if you get my emails. Students in here, raise your hand, they get my emails. And the students will tell you, they see me all day, every day, multiple times a day. That's why when you try to call me, you say you're trying to call the school, can't get me, you're not gonna get me. I'm in the hallway, I'm in the classrooms, they can tell you. But what I do have, don't have it right now because I gotta charge up literally because at 20%. I got my phone in my pocket the whole day long. So students will see me in the hallway and I'm paying attention, but they think I'm texting on the phone, I'm not. I'm responding to an email that made me concerned where I have to loop in one of my team members of what's going on. Or I have to send something to you because there's an emergency in the building that you all need to know, then I can follow with my letter later. So please make sure if you're not getting that communication, email him, Mr. Pugh, so you can get that.
How do we set up shadowing for our students?
So how do we set up shadowing for students? So let me ask this question. How many came to our fall parent open house? We had a grandparent, but also fall parent open house in the fall. Perfect. Another one's coming in the spring, just to let you know. Another one's coming in the spring. All you have to do, email me, let me know what day you want to come, we'll make it happen. That's all you got to do. Just say, I parent of this, Mr. Clement, can I come shadow my kid for a couple of months? Sure, all you need is your ID, come to the main office. We got you. Now, the only thing we have to make sure is your name is aligned to what's in SchoolMax, because we can't have cousins and aunties and things of that kind. It has to be a parent. But make sure you just do that. All I need to know, oh, you want to come in? Come on, any day. The doors are always open. Come on in, see what we're doing. Officer Dunn mentioned that earlier. I'm not going to deny it. Come on in, please. I want you to. Come see us. See what we do. But we have another parent open house in the spring. To answer your question, if something's not being addressed, like a teacher not intervening to stop a conflict, we can address that. Yep.
Legally, a teacher can't break up a fight. So that's the answer to that question. Only people that can actually have contact with a kid which involves restraint and people that certified with CPI. And it's myself, Mr. Brooks, and Mr. Mack is, and Officer Wilson. So legally, if a teacher put their hands on a kid, even if they're engaging in that altercation, if that kid get hurt, the teacher can lose her job or have charges filed against them. So a lot of times when you see that, it's because the law states only people that can put their hands, it's called non-physical restraint now, is people that's certified. And you have to prove that they're certified when you make the report. So so a lot of teachers, I advise them not to, for the simple fact because they can lose their job if they handle something. If it's a criminal fight, they're not certified to do it, and if the child get injured, your child, whoever child, things might happen next. You're not going ahead, well, I was breaking up this fight, now my child's injured because you threw my child across the room. So that's why sometimes you might see that only people that are going to intervene in altercations are only like 6 of us in this building are certified to intervene. And even then, we got to do it very delicate because it's called non-physical. You know how hard it is to break up a fight without putting your hands on the kid? Back, lean. It's kind of hard to move around, like it's hard.
So the question mom says, new to the country, new to this area, sometimes it's hard and frustrating for her to find who is that one person that she can come to orient herself to get things that she may need. And that may happen to some of us because we do have some people that come from different countries and different values. So let me tell you this, I'm gonna keep it very simple for you. The person you need to talk to is the head of that building, me. Because if I can't answer for you, I will direct you to who you need at that time. And here's the problem that sometimes people have. Well, I don't want to bother the principal, I don't want to do. No. Email me. People that know, if you email me, you will get a response. If I don't solve it myself, I will loop you to somebody that can. And maybe the parent assistant, parent engagement assistant, and maybe a counselor, and maybe a student advocate. I will let you know who's that best person for the situation. If you don't know who to talk to, go to the person at the top of that building. That's what parents do when they go to Dr. Golson, right? They go to Dr. Ghost and, hey, I'm not pleased with what's going on with this. And Dr. Ghost then loops you with somebody that you can connect you to. If something comes across to my email, it's going to be answered. Now, is that putting pressure on me? Not at all. Because all I'm doing is looping your concern to who you need to. Now, I'll be honest with you. I cannot meet every day. I cannot talk on the phone all the time. But you can always email me. So sometimes when I tell the main office, hey, I can't talk right now, have them email me because I get it, and if I get it, I won't miss it. And even if you feel I missed it, send it the next day. I'm going to respond. I promise you that. To everybody there, I'm going to respond. And if somebody says, well, I don't hear communication enough, I don't get that, let me know so I can follow up with it. And sometimes I will go to that person, hey, this mom emailed you 2 times. Can you follow up with that person? Please let me know when you follow up so that way I can then follow up with them. I will do that, but you got to let me know. I promise you, I will respond. 95% of our problem, 95% of what goes on in school is very positive. It's literally 5% that's messing things up or things of that nature. But that 5% speaks loud because what do we always advertise? The negative. When you look on the news, Channel 4, 7, 5, 9, the first 10 to 15 minutes before the weather report comes on, negative news, negative news, negative news, negative news. But let's talk about the positive things that's taking place for staff and students that's taking place. It's happening, and we're going to celebrate them. It's happening, and we're going to continue to do that throughout this. So I do appreciate that. Thank you. So first, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for people that's online. And once again, have those follow-up conversations with us. Have those conversations with your kids tonight.